Yes, people, big up. Welcome back to the channel. It is another episode of Rival Talk. It is myself, Rich, Emilio, and Dave this evening. Big up to you, lads. And make sure you do me a favor, people. Make sure you're following every single one of these guys. They put out unbelievable content. Make sure you're also hitting the like button and the subscribe button. We're getting very close to the big 4-0 now. So you guys are mad. There's been an unbelievable amount of subs over the last few weeks. So please make sure that you continue to do that. Let's go for the big 4-0, which is the next target. So make sure you do that. Big up to every single one of you guys. And look, we're going to be talking Fulham. We're going to be talking Palace. We're going to be talking Arsenal and Forest. And that's where we're going to start. Last night, Dave, wow, that was the most boring game of football I've been to in a long time, my bro. I say go to, obviously, I did the watch along. Obviously, you were there. And to be honest with you, I thought it was exactly what epitomizes everything that's wrong with us right now. Fine in goal, fine at the back, fine in midfield. The minute we get to the strike force, there's nothing there. Trossard's fallen off a cliff. I thought he was one of the worst players on the pitch last night. And we're relying on a 17-year-old young Ethan Nwaneri. That is all we've got. Marino, not quite sure what position he was supposed to be playing. It was supposed to be up top, but he was everywhere. But Calafiori had to get a stinker and hooked because he was actually looking more prominent going forward than he was defensively. Hit the bar. Sorry, he didn't hit the bar. Hit the post. In midfield, Martin Odegaard, not good enough in my opinion. He doesn't look right at the moment. Not quite fit. I remember the last time we played you, he was absolutely magnificent, but he wasn't last night. Brilliant. He was pretty poor. And if I'm honest with you, I was quite surprised by the way that both Forest and Arsenal started. I expected Forest to be doing what you've done all season, which was let us have the ball, let us dominate possession, and then just sit up shop. But you were actually giving it a bit of a go as well, and it's a little bit more end-to-end to where it started. Second half was a little bit different in my opinion. I think Nuno set back to his ways. I think he probably had the best chance of the game with Chris Wood. I thought he was going to score, if I'm honest. It was a fairly good save from Raya. But other than that, my goodness, it was poor. I mean, Matt Sells made a good save from Marino's header.
Yeah, he did.
Nwaneri had a chance in the first half, which I think he should have probably pulled the trigger a bit early, but tried to cross it. And Zinchenko had his best impression of trying to allow the ball to stick to his feet with glue on his boots because he didn't want to shoot, that's for sure. That was about my sum up of the game, really, mate. There wasn't much going on up top for Arsenal. It's a good point for Forest. I know you'll be disappointed you didn't take all three in games, but it's actually a good point as far as I'm concerned for you. And a bad 2 points drop from us. And I'll ask the panel in a minute whether they believe the title race is done, but I think we all know that it probably is. But what did you make of the game, Dave?
As a football snob and a man who believes himself to be a connoisseur, Dan, I love a 0-0. I think it's great. I absolutely adore a 0-0. I thought, as you say, it's not a point that for Arsenal, it was a pointless point, really. It just sort of drilled home the fact that, and you know, Rich and Emilio get to have their view in a minute. I think the title race is over. I thought the title race was over a couple of weeks ago, to be honest. So there was a difference of reception for each point. I think for Arsenal, they trudged out of the away end thinking, well, you know, ho-hum, shrugging of shoulders and a bit of a sort of a trek back to wherever they come from, mainly London. For us, I think it was a really, really good point. I think coming off the back of Sunday, where we paid the price for a manic 12 minutes of Isaac-ness and Newcastle-ness. Although second half, I thought we were really good at Newcastle. I thought we were, you know, another 10. I mean, Nuno came on and said afterwards, had we had 10 minutes added on instead of the slightly scandalous only 3, I think Forest would have got an equaliser. They were all over Newcastle at the end. A strange game, really. In fact, Sunday Forest started well. Then Newcastle just had this blitz where everything seemed to go in the back of the net. They could have gone 5-1 up just after half time. I think it was either Burnley or Shaw hit the post with a header, but then it was all Forest. So last night the idea was to sort of show that after 3 defeats in 4 games, Forest aren't going to do that the bubbles burst bit that a lot of the pundits have been expecting. And I thought Forest last night played like a top 6 side. They sort of matched Arsenal in many ways. And I think there were like parallels for both teams. I thought there were 6 players to me last night who I thought really took the eye. Gabriel and Saliba for Arsenal are absolutely superb. William Saliba, I thought, made 2 of the finest tackles I've seen from a defender in his own box to stop Chris Wood. Absolutely superb. Gabriel played really, really well. At the other end, Nikola Milenkovic and Murillo, they were back on it, doing what they do. So based on, our 2 and Arsenal's 2, you can understand why it was a 0-0. And for us, that's our 11th clean sheet this season, which is remarkable, really, especially coming after having shipped 4, on Sunday and 5 at Bournemouth a month or so ago. So from that point of view, it was good. We were nice and solid and compact, and we were difficult to break down and difficult to beat, which I think after the weekend, I think that's what Nuno was after. I thought the other 2 players who caught I thought Callum Hudson-Odoi was outstanding for us. Not in a spectacular Callum taking his man on kind of way. He dropped in to help Ola Aina, and he utterly nullified Trossard. So while Trossard wasn't great, Callum dropped. I mean, normally Cal goes out on the left, cutting in on his right, which is what he likes to do, and Anthony goes this side. Nuno swapped over. It was the same 11 as at Newcastle, which I liked, because it was the case of Nuno saying, okay, it didn't work there at Newcastle. I still trust you. You lot go and put it right, which I think pretty much they did last night. But the idea of Callum on the right, we were kind of saying, well, Cal likes to come in off the left and put a cross in or a shot with his right. But what Callum Hudson-Odoi did, he showed how unselfish he is, how much he's matured, what a humble young man he is. I love Callum Hudson-Odoi. We all do. And he came back and he helped Ola Aina.
So he put some good crosses in the box.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he could have had a penalty. I mean, Calafiori was yellow carded very early on.
Yeah.
And then there was this incident in the box where Callum went round Calafiori, and then his momentum carried him, and Calafiori sort of touched him. I thought they might have looked at it at the very least. Andy Madley just went no straight away. But then I thought so that Callum Hudson-Odoi for us, in attacking sense and then defending sense, I thought Ethan Nwaneri, every time he got the ball, 28,000 people in that ground shat themselves, because that kid is special. He's a really, really good player. And really, I was on tenterhooks. It's 0-0. We're up against, one of the, the second best team by table in the country. You kind of think, are they going to nick it at the end? Is somebody going to nick it? And when Arteta made a move that helped Forest and didn't help Arsenal, he took Ethan off. When Ethan Nwaneri went off, I thought, that's it. We're all right. We're going to get something. And everybody around the City ground sort of like went, oh, there were blokes behind me going, oh, thank God he's taken him off. Because that little lad, every time he got the ball, there was a hint of menace. There was a hint of something that was going to happen that was not going to benefit Nottingham Forest. And I thought, I just loved the way he plays. There was a beautiful little bit of football in front of me at the Trenton where he let the ball run. I think he did Murillo, who, I mean, to do Murillo the way he's been playing this season and was playing last night, Ethan Nwaneri sort of let the ball run and he came through. No, it wasn't Murillo. It might have been Milenkovic, and then Murillo blocked him as he went to try and shoot. And that was a lovely bit of football, Although, to be fair to Calafiori, his turn in the box to do Dominguez and then fire against the post, that was a good bit of football, So I think there were positives for both teams. Like I say, the centre half pairings and those 2 wingers. Everybody else was a bit of a muchness, really. I thought Morgan Gibbs-White had a better game last night than he did. He was anonymous, really, at Newcastle. But as I say, for Arsenal, it was just not good enough, really. If you want to be a proper title contender, I mean, we're in hog heaven because we were 17th last year, and a lot of people were saying, we were strugglers last year. We spent all of our time obsessing about Blades, Luton, and Burnley, and now here we are going. We've gone toe to toe with Liverpool. We've not lost to them, and they're going to be champions. And now we've gone, having lost to Arsenal 3-0 at the Emirates, we've now sort of come here and gone toe to toe. And I looked at us last night and I thought, we do look an authentic top 6 team built on a solid foundation of clean sheets. So I was really pleased. And, towards the end, there were a couple of little hints of Forest maybe nicking it on the break. So, a great point for us, not a great point for Arsenal. It kind of confirmed everything I've been hearing about Arsenal from the Arsenal fan base. And it's on we go. Algex games Manchester City after the cup game, and came out pretty pleased with that. To be honest with you, Dan.
Yeah, I love certain players and individuals at Forest. I've got to say, last night I wasn't massively impressed by anybody out of the 22. If I'm honest with you, if there's anyone to
Yeah.
come out of it, wasn't one of those games really. But I did feel
Yeah.
like Murillo definitely come out well. I
Yeah.
thought he was he
Yeah.
absolutely superb centre half. I like the pairing actually. I
Yeah.
think Milenkovic
Yeah.
this season they've been fantastic,
Yeah.
and of
Yeah.
course, like I'm a big fan of a lot of your players. I think Elliot Anderson deserves a mention this season. I
Oh,
think
mate.
he's been fantastic, mate.
I'm,
He's been really, really good.
yeah.
Obviously, Gibbs White, you've mentioned, and your other
Yeah.
attackers. But I don't think that really Forest were peppering the goal and Arsenal were peppering the goal. It wasn't one of those games, really, you know, it
No.
weren't.
I mean, really, Dan, there was the chance that Marino's header that Matt's kind of pushed away from close range. We thought there was a chance when Moo somehow acrobatically cleared it off the line from, I think it was whoever it was, Zinchenko, but it was offside, so it never really counted. In fact, that clearance off the line wasn't on the highlights of Match of the Day last night, right? Because it was an offside thing. And then there was the chance that Woody had. And it was a game where it was a lot of, I mean, if you were being unkind and you were being sort of sceptical about it, say it was just a lot of midfield faffing about and passing for no purpose, really.
It was a lot of passes. And I feel like with Arsenal, that's what we've been. And we're probably the best in the league at it. When it gets to the final third, we've got nothing.
Do you know what, Dan? It's the second some of our lot were saying it's the second time we've stopped Arsenal winning the title in 3 years. And the game that we won 2 years ago, you know, when you lads came up and Taiwo scored, and the game last night, they were quite similar. That 2 years ago, it was Steve had Forest shuffling across. Wherever Arsenal went, Forest just shuffled across and provided a barrier. And the same thing happened last night. And it was almost like there was lots of like Rice passing to Odegaard, passing to somebody else, to Jorginho. There was, I can't remember, apart from Calafiori turning the box and Ethan beating whoever it was in our box, there was no incisiveness from Arsenal. And to be fair, really, there wasn't that much incisiveness from Forest. But I think it's just the contrast in ambitions of the two teams that said, you know, we're in hog heaven, bonus territory, fighting for a Champions League spot. And that point meant that we stayed third because City won to kind of go.
Points are good in the top four races. Points kill you in a title race, but they're brilliant in the top four race.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that.
I've been in bloody too many top four races. I'd like to be in more titles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know in this time that draws will get you top four, man. Draws won't get you a title. I think with Forest, like, I mean, even if Forest were to get 6 for this year, that's unbelievable. Like, they're still unbelievable. You know.
Yeah, we've talked about that, Dan. You know, I actually think that's where Forest will finish 6th, right? But our lads have been, you know, at Newcastle on Sunday, there were a few people sort of saying, "Oh, this is not good enough. That's not good enough. He's reverting to type this up." And I was like, these lads have gone way beyond what we expected of them. I'm not a very, actually a bloke at the weekend had a go at me for not being annoyed enough. And I'm thinking, how can I be annoyed with 3rd in the table? If somebody said to you on August the 10th against Bournemouth, the first game, on February the 26th, taking on Arsenal of all people, that you'd be 3rd in the league, I'd have said, ridiculous. Are you on ketamine or something? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm so pleased with that, lads. Can I just go back to something you mentioned? Elliot Anderson, mate. So for all that Sunday was a bit of a trial, and Newcastle played some good football, and we actually played some football. Elliot Anderson in a defeat was outstanding. And when a lad goes off at St James's Park and he gets applause from 4 sides of the ground, that tells you how well you've played. All of the Newcastle
didn't want to sell him. They had to sell him, didn't they? They didn't want to sell him. I think it was him and Minter. They didn't want to sell them both, but they had to because this PSR crap thing. So obviously they got rid of the 2 players they didn't really want to get rid of. And I think Elliot Anderson, much as I think Minter's done well at Brighton as well, I think Anderson has taken Forest midfield to that level. I honestly think he's a top player, and I think that Forest needs, you know, look at those positions. And you know, last night they brought on. Did you bring on Dominguez and Yates together, or was that me?
No. We took off Dominguez.
That's right, and you replaced Yates. And I thought, crikey, that is not what you want, really. Those two in your midfield kicking the hell out of you. Do you know what I mean?
The only thing is, Dan, our number 6 is a bit of a problem position because we've got Danilo does it, Sangare does it, Yates does it, and Dominguez does it, and they all do different things. If you could like merge the 4 into one, you know, one body, you'd have probably the best 6 in the country. You know, and it's just a matter of which one suits the situation. So Dominguez came on, Yatesy came on, I think, with Taiwo, although I think Taiwo came on, but yeah, it was. I think Anderson is versatile. He's good going forward, but he's got a great knack for getting a toe in and taking a ball off a person's foot. And I think he might, the way he's playing, I think Tuchel might have got his name on his notepad. I actually think that. So I mean, Morgan's going to be in the squad probably, but I think Elliot, bless him, he's so unassuming and shuns the limelight. I mean, last night it was like Jordi Maradona shouts going on, and he deserves it, the grand lad. You know what I mean? So, he's played really well, mate. So I'm glad you brought him up, mate.
No, he deserves a mention. Boys, what are we saying about Arsenal quickly? Because I know that we don't always talk about Arsenal, but I normally tend to mention it when we play one of you guys on the panel that is on. Emilio, like, you know my thoughts. I know you watch my content. You've known me a long time. Yeah. And you know my thoughts on Mikel Arteta and the board and the ownership. And I think it's been a damn right disgrace, if I'm honest, in the last few weeks. What are you saying?
Yeah, the one thing that I noticed yesterday, again, I agree with Dave, lacking incisiveness, lacking determination. And when you came to Craven Cottage back in December, you had more depth up front. You had a more attacking threat. Again, I thought we looked comfortable in that game. You know, we should probably, if anything, we probably do a 1-1 flattered Arsenal in that game back in December. So you had a full strength, you had all your key players up front, but yeah, you just lacked a bit of togetherness. I don't know the incident. I don't know if you saw it, Rich, on the television. Declan Rice and who was he having words after the game? There was something. There was obviously something.
Gabriel
Rice was saying you should have done this.
Yeah.
Is there a lack of togetherness in that squad at the moment? Are they lacking belief? Are they lacking?
Maybe it's just a bit of frustration as well. Yeah,
I say frustration. Yeah.
Did you see that at the end, Rich? There was a bit of words between Rice and one of his fellow.
You know, I think it was the realization at that moment.
You don't do that on the pitch, as far as I'm concerned. I think sometimes you take all your issues, do it behind closed doors, and deal with it offline. But to do it openly in public with the cameras right on them, that shows lack of confidence, lack of togetherness in that team, and just a lack of quality. When Sterling came on, you know, where was the energy there? He didn't want to come on. Again, body language. I've got to earn my money to play the last 10 minutes. He'd offered absolutely nothing. When actually you fight for that shirt, whether you're on loan or you're not on loan, and that comes from Arteta and from the coaching staff. Whoever you are, you play for this great club, and you go on that pitch and you fight for that shirt at all times. I didn't see that. Trossard, I'm a big admirer of Trossard. I thought he was, again, very quiet. He had a lot of the ball, but did very little with it. But overall, Forest didn't look threatened enough. I thought Forest were in control. I think Forest did enough to win the game. But for me, Arsenal just lacking a bit of not consistency. I think there's too many
personality.
Injuries have hurt you. I get that. We all have to go through that. But I think Arteta's struggling to gel a sort of a broken team of injured players, lack of quality signings, confidence, bit of issues between players. There might be some rivalry between the players and the manager. Something doesn't feel right at the club. That's where I'm coming from. Maybe the board were reluctant to give Arteta more cash in January.
Yeah. When a little lad of 17 is your hope and actually your best player, a multi-billion-pound organisation like that, it does not give a great testament to it. I think the players are thinking, God, if only we had a striker, if only somebody had actually wheeled the cash out and bought a striker. I saw a really good list.
But why didn't they? Why didn't they splash the cash? Did they splash? They may not splash the cash because maybe they don't trust Arteta.
I think Arteta this season, at the end of the season, I think Arteta will be gone. I really do, because it's fallen away. I don't think they've bottled it because I don't think they're good enough to get into the position to throw it away. So they're never going to get to that position where they can actually bottle it. I look at them, I look at Forest, and I see lads in that squad who get on really, really well, and they have the crack. There's personality. Yeah. Olarena is hilarious. Callum Hudson-Odoi is hilarious. I see stuff around the club. They've got personality. Arsenal looked like a gang of introverts. They look like they have no fun.
Individuals.
Individuals. Yeah, I bet Ethan Nwaneri and young Lewis Skelly probably sit up one corner and go, God, aren't they boring? You can't get a conversation going here. Can you imagine being in that Arsenal dressing room? And I saw the documentary a couple of years ago. And at the time, I kind of thought Arteta is coming at this with different angles, a slight unorthodoxy to get a response. But I think they just look at him now. I think he's a blue sky thinker and some kind of new age druid.
I would have respect for him
mean?
if he walks at the end of the season. I'll have respect for him. I don't think he will. I don't think he goes anywhere. I think
Over his dead body again.
Yeah, exactly. What a stupid thing to say. £15 million a year, he's staying. There's no way he's going. And I'd love him to walk. I would, but I don't think that he's going to. He's going to underachieve again because we're going to finish trophyless. It's 5 years running now. I'm sick of saying the same thing. I don't think this guy is winning us a trophy. I think he's the guy for the guy. I think that we need to now that we've got a good squad, go and add to it in the summer with our attack and a new manager that can get us across the line, whether it's Simone Inzaghi, Carlo Ancelotti, Xabi Alonso, Zidane, I don't care who it is, someone that says, look at my CV, it's better than this guy's, I win. This guy will win one day. It might not be with Arsenal. He will win, definitely. He's going to win trophies. Wherever he goes, he's going to do well, I'm sure. He's done well to get us challenging. He can't get us across the line. And I just think that's the way it is. I don't know what your thoughts are, Rich. I know you said you were lagging. You were trying to come in. So please do come in and give you your thoughts, man, on Arteta. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, just testing.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Am I right? All right, happy days. He's messed this up. He really has. And obviously, you know better than me, Dan, whether it is more of an Arteta issue or board issue. But in January, you needed a striker. Like, it just showed like you rode your luck against Leicester with Moreno coming clutch, and all of a sudden it's look, hey, Preston, there you go, guys. We didn't need a striker. No, you needed one, because that West Ham game for me was it. It was done. It was like a chance to go within 5 points, and with Liverpool having City, that changes how Liverpool approach that game. By the way,
yep.
Yeah.
The moment you drop points, Liverpool were like, right, well, we've got a free hit. Let's go and enjoy ourselves. And they did,
Yeah.
And obviously back to back. And it's kind of, I don't know what it is about February/March, but it seems to be the moment where Arsenal always fumbles the back. I'm not going to use the word bottle because, like I said, I don't think it's that. But something goes wrong around March. We might have to do a dissertation or thesis on it.
No, you're right.
I forgot what the problem is. It's so weird.
No,
and it's always at the crunch moment where it's like, can we kick on now, or are we just going to let someone else run away with this? I don't know. He's got to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think there's anyone that disagrees, if I'm honest. I mean, the one thing I will say is there is no rival fan I speak to that says, oh, yeah, I'd take him. I would take Arteta in a heartbeat. And that says to me, when Liverpool fans say to me, I hope Arteta stays at Arsenal. When Man City fans say to me, hopefully Arteta, that to me means we've got to upgrade on him and we've got to get past it. Now, I'm not denying the fact that he's done a good job getting Arsenal from 8th to 2nd. I'm not saying that he hasn't. He's definitely done a good job to get us challenging. And he might be our Brendan Rodgers. And we might need a Jurgen Klopp to come in and take us across the line. Because people that compare that and they say, well, Liverpool were coming second. Klopp only won 1 in 9. Yeah, but Klopp was winning trophies alongside that. He was winning FA Cups, Carabao Cups, Champions Leagues, title races, then won a title, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup. And then when he decided to go, he's handed the side over to Arne Slot and he's gone, God, brilliant, I'll go and win the league. So in all of that time, Arteta's still trying to win 1 cup.
Do you know what, Dan?
I think that's the thing as well. Oh, sorry, Dave.
All I was going to say, lads, is what worries me about Arsenal is the owners strike me as like they don't care, and Arsenal's over in the corner. They don't give a damn. I would say if it was Marinakis in charge of Arsenal, Arteta would probably not last to the end of the season. I mean, Marinakis is a hire and fire, right?
He's ruthless.
I just think if you said to the Cronkies, did you watch the game last night? Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 0. They just go, oh, was it on? What channel?
What colour do we play in? Yeah, they're not bothered. They don't care, man.
The fans are all bothered at Arsenal, whether they're for or against, and that passion's great. But the owners just don't seem to care. They're more interested in the Los Angeles Rams. Let's be honest.
they're interested in their American sports, but even them, they don't win. They do one and done. They win something, they're not bothered. Then what happens is with Arsenal, they go, right, we want to take this club to next level. They spend 700 million, not of their money, of our money that we've generated. They've allowed it to be spent on players, and then they get back into the Champions League. Since we've been in the Champions League, they haven't done anything. They've bought in Declan Rice, which is a great player, by the way. But other than that, they've bought in players like Marino, Neto, Sterling, Calafiori. Yes, Timber and Ray are good players, in my opinion. Kai Havertz. Like, come on, really? Like, this is not to go and win a league, is it? Where's our Alexander Isak striker or a Gyökeres striker? Where's our winger like Acuna or like even a Brian Mbeumo to come and do that? Mate, he'd walk into our team. He'd walk into our team. I think there's only 3 teams. There's only 3 teams. We did it, me and
Sorry,
Johnny.
Rich.
The 3 teams were Leicester, Southampton, and Man United. They're the only 3 teams in the whole of this Premier League that right now have got a bad attack as bad as Arsenal. Ipswich, I'd rather have. Hutchinson and Delap, I'd much rather have them. Yeah, I'd have Mateta and Eze and what's his name? So that's where I'm at.
It's
So I think my Wi-Fi went funny then. But yeah, I'm sat there thinking we've got one of the worst attacks in the league, man. But look, I don't want to make this an Arsenal podcast. We've got to move. And I agree with everything you've said, Dave, about Arsenal and Forest last night. And I spoke to Wolfie earlier, and he was like, "What a boring game." So yeah, it was very, very much that time.
I don't know what that says about me, Dan. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you're just a football nut that loves all games. You know
I am, mate. Yeah.
So it's different. But look, Rich, I've got to come to you because Crystal Palace in the form table right now, I think, are second. What on earth has Glasner done to turn that around? I mean, Mateta deserves a mention. I think Mateta's one of the most on-form players in the league right now. I think there's a stat suggesting that there's only Salah that like outclasses him or something like that. And obviously you've got other players. He ain't just Mateta, right? You've been really good. And my guy Eddie Nketiah got you a goal. So things are looking up, bro. Things are looking up.
So funny how football works. And Palace being Palace, we lose against Everton and beat Fulham and Villa, who we're not expected to beat. You know, I just think the manner in both our wins were. Like I was speaking to Emilio after the game, like just through messages. It was literally carbon copy of the opposite fixture. They came to our ground and tore us a new one. We went to theirs and did the same thing to them. You know, both complaining about defensive, both complaining about our passings and the home game. But I always knew our away form would give us a chance. I just didn't expect us to play the way we did. But our game against Villa, where our home form has been terrible, if we had somehow fixed our home form, I think we've got an extra 5-6 points there. And we're then in that cluster with the Forest, the Brentfords, the Brightons and all of that. The crazy thing is we're not too far off it though. And our next games, and I'm not saying that we're going to win them, you know me, I'm very humble, but we have Ipswich at home, Southampton away. If we could get 6 points and get to 42 points, then we're starting to think, although I do know our running is very tough. But yeah, listen, Glasner's unreal. He's an unbelievable coach. To the point where Emery changed his formation because he was worried about what Glasner was going to do. How is a team who's in the Champions League worried about a mid-table side? I don't know. You know, and we just would. I mean, first 15 minutes a bit slow. I think we start games slow in general, and then once we get to grips of it, we just find a way, and we're just breathtaking going forward at the moment. But I have to shout out one particular person, especially for Tuesday night. And Dave, you were mentioning potentially best 6 if you merge all your players. Well, we have him in Adam Wharton.
Yeah,
that kid is unbelievable.
Yeah. He's right back at it, mate.
He's so good. So good. And he makes a difference for us. Like he just sees things that no one else sees in there. Maybe Eze, but just playing from that deep line play position, one-touch passes. It's just so quick. All of a sudden, we're on attack. You know, and I just hope we can continue. Got a massive game Saturday. Massive game Saturday.
At the start of the season, Rich, when we talked before, mate, there was this idea that Mateta had played a lot of football up to the Olympic final. Adam had played a lot of football, and he's a young kid learning his way in the Premier League. And they were both sort of a bit burnt out. And to me, it's really noticeable that those two now are back on.
And Mark Gay Yeah, add Eze and Mark
Yeah.
Gay to the two.
Yeah,
And then we
yeah.
lost to Leeds and lost Anderson. And even Jordan
Munoz
Ayew,
as
who's
well.
very important, you know. So
Yeah.
it was a tough start to the season. And if only the season started in October, we might be near the top of the table, you know. No, we are really happy. If we can get some consistent home form going, that'd be great. But yeah, we're doing well. It's just a shame our season started so poorly because who knows how high we could have been.
Yeah, who does? And I think Glasner deserves a lot of credit, man, because to be fair, you've done well to stick with him as well. Because a lot of people were saying Glasner might have to go and the Palace are flirting with relegation. And I think it was clear that it wasn't the manager. There was more indicators to suggest that it wasn't him. But I think now that you've got your fully fit squad, you can see I'm a big fan of Adam Wharton. I really am. I think he's a baller. I know we were linked with him very loosely towards the kind of mid sort of season. And I mean, we're not getting him, by the way, but obviously we were linked with him. And that just proves when you get players of that quality that are linked with Arsenal's, Liverpool's, City's, they're doing something right. And I think he's a baller. I've always been a fan. I think it was a great piece of business. And I do think sometimes it goes under the radar how good your recruitment has been, Rich, to be fair, because you've picked up You've picked up Elise, you've picked up Essa, you've picked up War, and all from the Championship, by the way. None of those have come from Real Madrid or Barcelona. And then you look at what you've done with Mateta and Lacroix, who I think has been an excellent centre-back. Daniel Munoz, unbelievable right back. I think he's been great. There's not really anything that I'm questioning, if I'm honest, with your recruitment. I think the majority of it has been really good, bro.
And also just going back to Glasner, when I think about the players he's made better, that's the sign of a coach, really. Mateta's improved. Will Hughes has improved. Chris Richards looks incredible at the back at the minute. You know, all players he's improved. Like Tyreek Mitchell had a bit of a blip against Everton, and since then has been fantastic again, which is good for him. I think the addition of Chilwell has helped because now he knows after 5 years that there's actually competition waiting there. You know, I didn't want to mention Matson's Lacroix because I know Emilio was a bit upset about Anderson, but what a centre back he is, you know. I must say though, Emilio, I'm going to say this: Palace admin, shame on you. We are a much better club than that. We just overmelt it with the whole Anderson propaganda and stuff. The one with Eze and Anderson standing there, that's funny.
Yeah,
then you don't have to just overdo it. Like, stop. We're not that club, please. So I hope
exactly. And I think, look, fair play. You know, and we said it offline, didn't we? And I said, look, hands down, you're by far the better team. You bullied us. Will Hughes, I wanted to call out because, you know, we know those little games, lack of gamesmanship. You know, some of those niggly little fouls, he was getting away with them in the first half. So he said, no, while I get away with it, I'll keep doing it. And that played to your advantage. But overall, full value for the victory. We weren't good enough. You know, I think we were a little bit too wary I thought we were wary about your attack coming forward and the pace and the speed of your players. And I think we maybe gave you a little bit too much respect, but, you know, you dominated the game. We deserved nothing from it. The fact we had no shots on target it's very unusual because we're up there with the team who scored in the most games this season. So I think it's only 3 games that we've not scored all season. So we're in a very good position. If only we had a defense like Dave's, we'd be a few more points up the table. It's all about ifs and buts at the end of the day. But overall, we're in good form as well. You know, the fact that you beat us, you know, when we beat Newcastle, we then beat Forest, we beat Wolves on Tuesday night. So we're 3 and 4, and we've won 4 in 6. So we're in pretty decent form as well. And so we're still in that mix for the European places. I'm not getting carried away. I'm taking each game as it comes. And, you know, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the season. At the FA Cups this weekend, we're all fighting for... Sorry, Dan. You know,
three of us are
in the FA Cup
we're
fighting
not. We're up, mate.
Place the quarterfinals.
Sorry, Dan.
Season over.
But overall, you know, it was a comfortable victory for you last Saturday. It just didn't click. You know, some games you can try, you huff, you puff. The passing just wasn't there. You bullied us well. You did a job on us like we did at your ground back in November. So it's we move on. It's not the Fulham Palace games.
How far are you looking up, Emilio? How far are you looking up? I'm just looking at the Premier League table. 4 points off a Champions League spot, mate.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. I think we'll finish where we are now, 8th to 10th. You know, probably more 10th than 8th in my opinion. But you know, we've got some tough games coming up. But we played better against the Brightons, the Arsenals, the Forests, Newcastles, not against Southampton, Ipswiches, and teams below us.
Why is that though? I don't get that.
I just don't get it. I don't. We, you know, we don't like playing when teams sit back and give. Sometimes we Southampton. Shit, excuse my French. Worst team in the league. We just struggled to score against them. 0-0. Awful. That's 2 points dropped. But fair play to Southampton. They came and did a job on us. We huffed and puffed and just couldn't break that team down. And whereas when there's a little bit more of an open game, teams attacking each other, that's when we play well. Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, we couldn't run for their money. Man United, we struggle. What did Man United do? They sit back, invite you to come forward, 11 men behind the ball, bit of gamesmanship here and there. We struggle to play against that type of opposition. But that's a problem. If Marco Silva can find a solution around that, then it would be higher up the table. But we're ninth. Like you said, 4 points from Champions League, which is madness, to be honest. But we've still got to play all these big teams. We can influence the Champions League positions, or we just fall away and finish mid-table. But we still got the FA Cup. The FA Cup on Sunday is a big game. Man United away is winnable. If we play like we have done away from home in recent months, we can get something from that game. We should be able to. Weirdly, I think we're slight favourites, which is I don't like going into that game with the favourites hat on. Man United are poor, but they've beaten us marginally twice this season. I don't know how, because they're dire. But again, we struggle to break those teams down that sit back, invite us to play, block, dive, defend. We struggle to break that team down. It's just when both teams play an attacking brand of football like Forest and Fulham did, it was end to end in that game. That's when we thrive, and we tend to outplay and outcoach a lot of those opposing managers. So to answer, Dan, I think 8th to 10th. I think Champions League, even European places, I think that's going to be disruptive to the team next year. There's going to be lack of investment as usual at the club. Big players will have to go. Can we keep Anthony Robinson if we get into Europe? Possibly, but Fulham is going to be a selling club. We have to sell a £50 million player to spend another 30 or 40. So I don't think European football is good for the club. But clearly, we all want it. Yeah, we all want success. We want trophies, and FA Cup is a priority now. Let's focus on the FA Cup. That's why he made 5 changes on Tuesday night against Wolves. I was a bit critical. There's a bit, 5 changes from Palace to Wolves, which obviously implied he was prioritising the FA Cup against Man United. But I thought that team would lose against Wolves. But fair play, we were comfortable. We should have won by more again against 2-1 was flattered Wolves, and little Dan, said the Wolves handed the game to Fulham. I said, I think that's a bit disrespectful as far as I'm concerned. Fulham won comfortably. We went away from home in a ground that's traditionally a very difficult place to go to, and dominated the game, especially that second half. Cunha's a great player. Don't get me wrong; he's a lovely. He's got a 60 million buyout clause. I'd love to have him at Fulham, but why would he come to Fulham? Arsenal should be grabbing him. 60 million. Go and pay that money. Here you go.
I agree.
60 million. Great player, but overall, we recover well when we lose or don't beat teams we should be beat. No disrespect, Rich, to Palace. Then there was an expectation, a possible 3 points on the board. We lost and got outclassed, and we responded 3 days later with a good win at Wolves. And we keep doing that. People write us off, and we come back and win the following games, and then go on a good run.
I almost wrote you off against Wolves when they went 1-0. I thought, here we go, like what's happening here to Fulham, But fair play to you come round. The problem you've got is, and this is to all of you. I mean, all 3 of you will know. This isn't a dig, but all 3 of you will know what the Championship is like. It does kind of feel from 4th to 10th a bit like that. 2 wins, you're up to 4th. 2 losses, you're down to 10th, and you're like, what's going on here? Like, this is mad. And that's what the Championship, from what I hear anyway, is like. So I'm kind of feeling like there's potential for that to end like that. Let's end on the FA Cup games though, because Rich, you say it's a massive game. Apparently, it's going to kick off. Millwall are going to bring everyone down. What's happening, man? What are you telling me?
Let them come. No, look, this is their cup final. This is their cup final. So this is why it's on a Saturday at midday. Not enough time to hit the pubs, Yeah. In all fairness, there's going to be a lot of security, police, safety stuff. I think they've even closed the stations like a couple hours before kickoff and stuff. Like they're doing the full works for it, because it is a big, big game, and I just want us to win. In all fairness, I want us to batter them, but I don't care. Just get to the quarterfinals, and hope for a favourable draw, because when you get to the semis, it's anyone's ball game then, you know. I'll be honest, I don't want Forest. I don't even want Fulham, because I do personally think Fulham will beat Man United, you know, and I don't want Newcastle. I think who's
Yeah.
the Man City got? Oh, they got Plymouth, innit? Oh my gosh, they're so jammy. But look,
Yeah,
this is a
always.
big game. If we could get to the quarterfinals, get a favourable draw, then you just never know. You just a day out in Wembley will be awesome. So yeah,
I think you'll beat them. I think you'll beat them. It's about then what happens next. And this is the biggest FA Cup season for me in a long time, because we're out, Liverpool out, and then it's City who aren't the same City, United who normally stink wins. That's why I hope Fulham beat them at the weekend, because I don't want them stinking another trophy when they've been crap again, because that's what they've done. That'll be 3 years in a row. And you know, and I'll go with a Manchester City to win the FA Cup in terms of if I was putting money on. I don't want them to though. I absolutely do not want them to. I'd love to see Forest or Villa or one of you boys win it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'd like to see. But we go from there. Look, comes Dave last. What are you saying, Emilio? Man United. I mean, they're absolutely woeful. However, you just never know in this cup. You know,
you never know.
They're dreadful. But, oh my God, you know, like they just think their way through these competitions, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And it's 4:30 kickoff. That's again frustrating, right? It's like played early on a Sunday morning or Sunday lunchtime. They put it at 4:30. That's going to there was train strikes. I think they've been called off. Then get up there. You got to get back to work the following morning. That's ridiculous. So again, that's not favouring the team coming from London going up to Manchester. So hopefully we'll bring a big support up there. We want to do one over them from a couple of years ago. Remember the quarterfinal 2 years ago when we were cruising 1-0, then Mitrovic lost it, Silva lost it, William got so we literally lost that game. We threw that game away again, dominating at Old Trafford. Should have won that. Lost our heads in the space of 2 minutes and game over. So we need revenge. Twice they've beaten us this season, and they've been, like I said, woeful and offered very little in both games. So I'd like to think third time lucky. And like Rich said, then it's a lottery. There's 8 teams left in the draw. I'm glad that weirdly we got Man United away, because I think we play better on the road than we do at home, a bit like Palace. So Man United won't be relishing playing us on Sunday. They've got a lot to fight for, because this is their only chance of silverware this season. But let's go and do a job on them. Hopefully we can, and then this time next week we can look, for a favourable quarter-final. And they say 2 games away from Wembley, or 1 game away from Wembley if you include a semi as well. So we don't often get in these positions at the clubs like Palace, Fulham, Forest. So we've got to make the most of it, and it's another route into Europe as well. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Fair.
So look, Fulham victory. It has to be a Fulham victory.
I hope you beat. Is it Old Trafford? Did you say, Emilio?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
4:30.
I really hope you do them. I just can't stand them. I absolutely hate that club so much, and I just hope that you do it. But something tells me they'll stink their way through it, and it'll be a horrible. Like 2-1 last minute Bruno penalty or something crap like that,
which they normally do. They normally score 8 goals against us always. But it'd be nice we do it the other way around, score the 94th minute. But don't forget, there's no replay. So
there's no reason why you shouldn't beat them. They're a terrible side, and they the way you've been playing is better than them. So hopefully you'll do it. I just want them out, because I can't do nothing in the cup because they're out of it. But I just don't want them winning that again. If they win something this year after the way they played, it will be they are a lucky team, man. I'll tell you this now, Man United. I've always said they've had luck on their side most of the time with referees over the years. Most of the time, like that typical Leicester last minute goal, which was offside.
Yeah,
because there's no VAR. All of a sudden they're through. And you just think this is ridiculous. Like this is just them all over, man. They stink their way through games. So hopefully you knock them out, man. Hopefully you do.
I hope so.
Dave, Ipswich Town, mate. On who you've got, which is it's at Forest, isn't it? Monday night.
Yeah. City Ground half 7 kickoff done, which is, to take Emilio's point, and I would say this to Rich if he was on the show, it's a bit, that's tough on people from Ipswich. It's a long way to go. We're going to Ipswich on the 15th, and I know it's a long old coach journey. I think we're leaving for a 3 o'clock kickoff at Portman Road. We're leaving the City Ground about 9:30 on the Saturday morning. So on the other side of the coin, the Ipswich folks have got a long way to travel on a Monday night, which is not great on them. That said, I think a Monday night for us is really good, because it's a really good recovery time of 5 days from last night to Monday night, and then again we've got another sort of 5 days from there to City on the Saturday dinner time in the league. And I think that Nuno will go really strong on Monday night. I would almost expect a kind of a dress rehearsal for the league game at Portman Road a fortnight later. And I think, I mean, I've always tended to think that, you know, a lot of the teams, they'll sort of like have changed sides and transformed sides. And then as soon as the quarterfinals over interview, right, we're going strong now. But I actually think McKenna will definitely go strong, because for Ipswich, it'd be a fantastic distraction for them to go into a quarterfinal, given that they're likely now to go down. I think the Bournemouth result at the Wolves result at Bournemouth, which adds credence to what Fulham did on Tuesday night, that Wolves result at Bournemouth has relegated the bottom three, I think, now. I think top and bottom. So for Ipswich and Kieran McKenna, I think it's a really good guy. Handles himself with a lot of class and quality. He'll go strong. So we'll be seeing Delap, Amari Hutchinson, Calvin Phillips, Philogene, who looked quite useful last night. I think they'll go strong. But I actually think it would not surprise me in the least if our 11 that started last night and started at Newcastle starts again on Monday night. You know, there's no practice like actually playing a match. And I think Nuno will look to that, because as Rich has alluded to, and as Emilio's alluded to, a quarter final for Nottingham Forest would be fantastic. And then you kind of get to, if we can get past Ipswich, and that's not going to be easy. We beat them 1-0 before Christmas, and they're a good bunch, Ipswich. They're the ones I feel. I mean, Leicester last week were just beyond dire. Southampton are like a League One side, and there's no interest in either of those teams. But Ipswich have some character, I think, and I think they'll if they go down in the Championship, it looks likely they'll come back. So I'm expecting a really, really tough game, but get through that, and then all being well, we avoid Palace, we avoid Fulham, we avoid Bournemouth. Right? Wouldn't it be great if semi-finals were like 4 teams from that echelon that these two guys have been in for a while, and that my lot have got into this year? Wouldn't it be brilliant if it was a Palace, Fulham, Forest, Bournemouth last 4 of the FA Cup?
That'd be nice.
Different.
Be nice.
I think it'd be great for us as invested people, but I think it'd be good for the neutrals in football to see somebody else win it. I mean, FA Cup finals since sort of I go back to 1989 when Liverpool and Everton met in that game after the Hillsborough disaster. All the cup finals since then, apart from the Liverpool West Ham one where Gerrard scored, they're just anonymous. You don't recall any of them. And wouldn't it be nice for, say, one of us lot to get there? You know, would it be nice if City went out? Would it be nice if United went out? You know,
yeah.
So I think the FA Cup, it might be a shot in the arm for it to have somebody different winning it, whether it's us.
Would be amazing, wouldn't it? Would be amazing. I'd love to see it. Like, I mean, I'll bring the draw up as it comes here now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I expect Villa to beat Cardiff. I think Palace will beat Millwall. I don't know. I can't call Preston Burnley because Burnley are going.
I think
the thing, but I would sway towards Burnley. I think Bournemouth will beat Wolves. I really do.
Yeah.
I was impressed with them, particularly at Bournemouth. City will walk past Plymouth Argyle. Newcastle Brighton is actually going to be a really close game as it goes. I think that's going to be a tight call, but I will go Newcastle because it's at St James's. I'll go Fulham because I hate Man United. And I'll go Forest. As much as I respect Ipswich and always have had a soft spot for them, I don't think they got enough to go City ground and go through. So you're saying you want to avoid X, Y, Z. It's going to be hard then. If you guys are going through there, you basically want the winners of Preston and Burnley, don't you? Do you know what I mean? That's
I think Burnley's a tough game. That's probably the worst game. That's probably the game I'd least want to play. Obviously, there's going to be the Scott Parker reconnection if he gets through. But they haven't conceded a goal since December, I think.
Clean sheets. They're unbelievable.
They haven't conceded a goal since before Christmas. They've got many 0-0s. That's Scott Parker for you. But I think the game you want to avoid going to is Burnley away if they get through. That's going to be the hardest game. The other teams, you're more on a level playing field, but 2 months without conceding a goal. That's ridiculous.
Villa, I think Villa are vulnerable. I mean, the other night they were blown away really bad. I think Villa are vulnerable because they're so stretched across the competitions at the moment. Yeah. That's what I think. I mean, with us, what I think about is I think we'll sneak past Ipswich, But what gives me confidence is we had such a struggle at Exeter, and on a cup run sometimes you look back and you think, bloody hell, we were so close to going out to Exeter.
You know what, though, Dave? I think Exeter away is actually more tough than the Ipswich at home. I know it sounds crazy, but the FA Cup for you is just that. And Exeter have got absolutely, literally, no, it really is mad. But look, we're going to wrap up there. Big up to every single one of you. I know, Rich, you haven't got long, so we'll wrap up here. Look, make sure you do me a favor. Go follow Rich on Eagle Eyed Football. Make sure you're following Emilio on the Fulham Pulse and Teddy Nillo on socials. Make sure you're following Dave as well. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe on this one, people. And we will 100% see you next time. We're out of here, people. Take care.